On the same day, November 13th, the nerves begin at the girls' parents' house. When they see that the pickup time that they have set for around 10 p.m. comes, and they don't show up. Fernando Garcia himself declared this. Well, it's just that nobody can get the idea that you are at home with your wife and 2 of your children, and dinner time arrives and it's 10 o'clock, and your daughter doesn't arrive, and it's 11 o'clock and doesn't arrive. You start to pick up the phone and call Desiree's parents, and she hasn't arrived either, and call Tony, and she doesn't arrive, and it's 12 at night, and they don't arrive. According to Desiree's mother, Matilda, Miriam's mother, calls her to ask if her daughter is at home, to which she answers no. Then Matilda tells her that she thinks the girls have gone to Cooler. Desiree's mother is surprised, since her daughter did not tell her anything, and even left without money, and asks her why she thinks this, to which she responds by telling her about the call that Miriam made to her, so that her father would take them up to the nightclub. This happens around 10:15 in the morning, immediately afterwards. Matilda calls Tony's parents' house and gets the same answer. Her girl has not returned home either. The nervousness becomes more and more evident, and at 1 a.m., half of the town of Alcasser was in front of the town hall. The phones did not stop ringing among the girls' family and friends to see if anyone knew anything about their whereabouts. That same night, an uncoordinated blind search begins. It begins in the surrounding areas, fields, water wells, irrigation ditches, and break down the doors of several bars and clubs, following the rumors that begin to circulate in the town that the girls could find themselves in one of them. After spending a whole night searching, Miriam's father and Tony and Desiree's mothers go to the Picasso Civil Guard headquarters to file complaints about the disappearances of their daughters. The first to testify is Fernando Garcia Sr., father of Miriam, and her complaint states, "At 7 o'clock yesterday, November 13th, she left home in order to come along with other friends to Cooler nightclub in this town of Picasso, where the students of the Picasso Institute were celebrating a party, which the others 2 girls who accompany her are called, one Desiree and the other Antonia. The 2 are neighbors, also from Alcasser, who until now, after leaving at the aforementioned time yesterday, none of the 3 have returned to their home, not knowing the reasons or their current whereabouts. Having made arrangements both, he and the parents of the other girls, verifying that they were not at the aforementioned nightclub, since there were other friends there, and no one gives clues to the possible whereabouts of any of the 3 girls. They were visiting a friend's house, also a neighbor of Alcasser who was sick, at 8 o'clock yesterday, where they said they were going to the indicated Cooler nightclub, commenting that they would be hitchhiking, since at that time there was no public transport vehicle. He is asked if he has any idea where the girls may have gone. He says no. He is questioned about his daughter's peculiar features, and says that she is 5'8", tall, normal complexion, light brown hair, long to below the shoulders and wavy white skin, blue eyes, straight nose, slightly elongated face, speaks in Spanish and Valencian. When she left his home, she was wearing blue pants, a white shirt and a light blue denim jacket, black shoes. She left without documents and without money. The next to make the complaint was Rosa Antonia Fulch, and in it, she said that her daughter left his home at 7 a.m. yesterday with 2 friends, one called Miriam and the other Antonia, in order to come to the so-called nightclub, Cooler of Picassent, since a party was being held for the students of the institute in this town of Picassent, without her daughter nor the other 2 companions who went out with her having returned home so far, not knowing her whereabouts and the reasons why they didn't return, that they have subsequently made arrangements at the homes of family and friends, without anyone knowing anything about them. Questioned about the peculiar signs, she says, 5'7" tall, slim build, short brown hair, wears small blue earrings, green eyes, slightly flat nose, long face, very white skin, speaks in Valencian. When she left his home, was wearing light blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and a black leather jacket with a zipper. Without remembering his shoes, she went without documents and without money. The last to report was Luisa Rodriguez, and the complaint states that her daughter left the family home at 7 a.m. yesterday, the 13th, along with the other 2 friends, Miriam and Desiree, in order to go to the aforementioned Cooler nightclub in this town of Picassent to hold a party there. For the students of the institute in this town of Picassent, without their daughter or any of the other 2 friends having subsequently returned to their homes, whose disappearance report appears in pages number 1 and 2 of this report. Asked if she has any idea where her daughter can be found, she says no, that they have subsequently been at the house of family and friends, and no one has seen them after the aforementioned time when she left her home. Questioned about the peculiar signs of her aforementioned daughter, she says that she is about 5'3" tall, has a slightly thick complexion, short dark hair, wears silver earrings, brown eyes, nose a little crooked to the left, wide face, white complexion, speaks Valencian and Spanish. When she left the home was wearing light blue jeans, a closed gray and white sweater, and yellow boots. She left without documents and without much money. She only left with 500 pesetas, that are around $3. Even after filing the complaints, the civil guard asks them to calm down, since the girls may have been entertained at a party, and furthermore, the 48 hours had not yet expired, which at that time was used as an indicator to treat someone as missing. This law changed over time in Spain. There is no longer a time limit to declare someone missing when it comes to a person under 18 years. The search continues with all the neighbors. A frantic search that on November 15th ended with one of the worst possible events. From 3 in the afternoon, 2 civil protection volunteers, Fernando Castilla Vela, 26 years old, and Francisco Rodriguez of 35, were checking the ravines that surround Picassent with 2 motorcycles belonging to the group. When they were at kilometer 19 and 800 of the old highway, around 6:20 p.m., it had already begun to get dark. They decided stop to put on the reflective vests, and a Nissan patrol car that was also participating in the search for the girls ran over both of them. Fernando died instantly, while Francisco suffered brutal injuries, 14 fractures in his legs, and a head trauma, causing lifelong consequences in recognition of their action on November 19, 1993. They were awarded the Medal of Merit for Civil Protection, which was given to Francisco and Fernando's mother on behalf of her deceased son. The search does not bear the desired results, and the girls' parents observe as everything begins to stagnate. Fernando Garcia, who becomes the spokesperson for the families at that moment, begins to promote the case as much as possible in the media, and taking advantage of a TV program, which at that time was one of the programs with the largest audience, presented by Paco Lobaton and called Who Knows Where, which was about finding missing people, made the case of the Alcasser girls come to light, and the case began to become more and more known. Another program also with very high audience ratings, such as 2 a 2, presented by Nieves Herrero, also begins to echo the event. And due to one of those coincidences of fate, the search for Miriam, Tony, and Desiree takes place as something personal for the entire Spanish society. Calls come from many parts of the nation, saying that they were looking for the girls. Fernando Garcia does not stop in his efforts, and taking advantage of the media coverage of the case, pressures to obtain more resources and aid from the media institutions. On December 2nd, 1992, Fernando Garcia, Rosa Folch, and the mayor of Alcásser, Ricard Gil y Fabra, met with the Minister of the Interior, José Luis Corcuera. Corcuera agreed to consult with the director of the Civil Guard, the possibility to increase the number of personnel on the case. Francisco Granados, government delegate in Valencia, announced on December 7th that a group of 8 agents from the Central Operational Unit, the so-called UCO of the Civil Guard, which had been established at that time, had traveled to Valencia to form a special team, dedicated exclusively to the investigation of the case. This group would be joined by guards from the 311 Command and the 3rd Zone of the Civil Guard from the Patriarchs and Benimaclet Barracks. On the other hand, on the first weekend of December, a group of 75 people made up of family, friends, and residents of Alcásser, coordinated by Councillor José Manuel Alcaine, following an apparently very reliable lead provided by the television program Who Knows Where. They rent a bus and head to the Andalusian city of Granada to look for the girls. They spend early Friday morning traveling, and on Saturday night they go out to look for the young women in all the fashionable places in said capital. This search turns out to be in vain, and they return to Alcásser, with the bittersweet taste of having given everything, but not having achieved their goal. The case continues to take such a turn that the president of Spain at the time, Felipe González, invites the girls' parents to a breakfast at the Moncloa Palace on December 24th to express his solidarity and encourage them. The head of the executive promised all possible help to launch initiatives, such as the dissemination of the girls' photos in Arab countries. The calls continued to be incessant and did not stop giving false clues about the whereabouts of the girls. The program Who Knows Where aired a special on Christmas Eve, where the girls' parents said what they asked for this Christmas. Here are the words of those parents, wishing that the Christmas spirit would make people who had their daughters detained consider his release.
Y para el año nuevo, pues que estuviera mi hija en casa, que estuvieran las 3 chiquillas a cada uno en su hogar, porque esto es muy duro y muy angustioso, y a cada momento estás pensando dónde estarán, con quién estarán, y te se pone una angustia que no puedes resistirlo. Es para volverse locas.
La felicidad más grande que podríamos tener, tenerlas allá junto a nosotros. Eso sería, para empezar el año, lo más grande que nos podía suceder. Nada más se le podía pedir al año nuevo, estar junto a ellas, o ella junto a nosotros, que para al fin y al cabo es lo mismo.
Es lo único, lo más de corazón le pido, que pase los Reyes aquí en casa.
1992 ended, and the girls still did not appear. An unsuccessful search was carried out in Pamplona, following another clue that seemed reliable, but that led to nothing. The Secretary of State Rafael Vera announced on this occasion that a group of specialists from the National Police Force would move to Valencia to begin the investigations from scratch. A captain from the Civil Guard was also incorporated to coordinate the search tasks with Interpol and the police of other countries, in permanent contact with the rest of the force's security officers assigned to the case. Rafael Vera declared that it could not be allowed for 3 girls to disappear and not be able to find them. The relatives met with Miguel Duran, president of La ONCE, who ordered the distribution of photographs of the girls in the 7,000 coupon sales points that he had throughout Spain. They also met with Valerio Lazaro, general director of Telecinco, to put the girls' photo on all the news. The families also spoke with the Chele, patriarch of the gypsy community of Valencia, to whom they asked for collaboration, and Chele asked his people to look for the girls. On January 21st, Fernando Garcia met with the ombudsman of the people, Álvaro Gil Robles. He also met with José María Ruiz Mateos. In the office of Vicente Ramirez, owner of the Canal de Valencia, Ruiz Mateos was very receptive and decided to offer a reward of 10 million pesetas, about $60,000 today, to anyone who gave any clue about the whereabouts of the girls. On January 25th, Fernando Garcia met with Enrique Beltrán Ballester, chief prosecutor of the Superior Court of Justice of the Valencian community, who informed him that the kings of Spain were very concerned about the disappearance of their daughters. Fernando took the opportunity to ask the city council of Alcásser to initiate steps to request an interview with the king. On January 26th, Fernando Garcia traveled to London, since he had printed more than 20,000 posters in 5 different languages, and he wanted the foreign television media to echo the search for the girls. He met with directors of the BBC, and they suggest that he go with a television team to venues and pubs in London to distribute the posters to the youth and then broadcast it on television. But on Wednesday, January 27th, 1993, and many kilometers away, 2 beekeepers decided to go check their hives in the surroundings of the Tus Reservoir, specifically in an area known as the Departure of La Romana, a steep place, very difficult to access, and inhospitable. While they are waiting for the sun to warm up a little more, since they had arrived around 10 in the morning and it was very cold, one of them decided to walk around the surroundings and was paralyzed. Upon discovering something coming out of the ground, he calls his companion, who, with one of the tools they use for hives, moves away a little of the vegetation, and before them remains what appears to be a hand carrying a large clock. And it is here, when this tireless search comes to an end, a hand emerging from the ground, suddenly ending the dreams and desires, not only of 3 families, but of all of Spain, which will be plunged into restlessness, anguish, and pain, to see how those hopes ended in an abyss as dark and cold as the souls of the people who took the lives of Miriam, Tony, and Desiree.